Hello and welcome. My name is Janice B. Gordon. I am the co-president of the Professional Speaking Association, PSA Southeast. I seem to have just lost my guest. Hopefully she'll come back in. So I will continue, see what happens. So I'm also a visiting fellow of Cranfield School of Management. It's really hot here at the moment, so I'm really breaking out in one. Oh, she's coming back. That's brilliant. I'm a management consultant trainer, a speaker of sales teams, talking about key account management and with social selling. Now, as a professional speaker, I talk about scaling your sales, but today I'm up close and personal with Sue Keogh. Hello, Sue.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. Now, let me introduce Sue first of all. Sue founded Sue Keogh in 2008 and is offering communication support to businesses across the UK and overseas, growing it to an award-winning digital marketing agency based in Cambridge. Now, she helps clients communicate with confidence through quality content marketing, working with clients like Gov.uk, Drinkaware, the University of Cambridge, Toshiba Europe, along with a host of other businesses in the Cambridge Tech cluster. Now, a fellow of the RSA, Sue regularly shares her expertise at events and conferences for government digital services. And like me, she is also a Sage business expert. Now, in 2017, she was finalist of the Best Business Woman's Awards in 2 categories, technology and business services. So it's a great honor to be speaking to my mate, my fellow business expert, Sue. Hello.
Hello.
So, Sue, let me ask you the first question. What is the thing that you've taken forward from your early childhood? What is the thing that's created the biggest impact for you?
I think looking back, my family around me, there's always this sort of spirit of generosity. I'm half Welsh, half English, and my Welsh side in particular, very generous, very kind, always kind of looking out for other people, always, refusing to let you pay for anything, refusing to let you leave the house without a lemon curd tart, sort of silly things like that. And this sort of feeling of generosity is something that I've always fed through into my business activities as well, even without knowing it. So I've always been very keen on sharing knowledge. I've always been very keen on, maybe if there's something that we can't do ourselves, then I'll refer somebody else, we'll recommend somebody else. I've always kind of gone that extra mile, bent over backwards to get work done. And back when I was freelance, working out of hours on weekends and all of that kind of thing. And even though at the time I didn't realize it, this was going to be one day coming back to me. And even though that was never my actual motive, I like helping others and being generous and sharing insights and that kind of thing. It has had this positive effect in that, we've got a good reputation. People recommend us as well. So, I think that feeling of kindness, generosity, which sometimes in business, it can be seen as a weakness. To be too kind can sometimes be a weakness, or to be generous. People hate giving away their ideas. They don't want to share too many insights in case people steal their thought processes. Whereas I've always had the opposite approach to that instinctively, and that's always worked for us.
Do I think it's quite interesting in the way that business has changed, and I think it's still seen as a weakness, but I think that's less so. And I don't think it's just because there are more women that have a voice, because people know that I don't think anywhere enough women actually have a voice. But do you think it's just because a lot of the really kind of macho, go-getter, win, Wolf of Wall Street, it doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't work in this society, in this social society anymore. So there is, kindness is really important. Being in more of a meditative, calm, getting strength from within. I actually think, and I don't know if you agree, that has really begun to filter into the business world.
Yeah, I think so, because you see a more kind of diverse range of voices, people who are leaders now. So it used to be this very sort of set model where you had a very sort of dictatorial person at the top, and then everybody else underneath kind of, ooh, you know, will wait to be told off by this person. Whereas now, and maybe it is the introduction of more women in the workplace and in leadership roles, I don't know, but it's becoming okay to be like this. And I can see, you know, in the past, I've looked at other people who run agencies like mine, and particularly in the earlier years, I've thought, oh, maybe I should be like that person, or maybe I should be like him. And, you know, he's really bullish, and I need to be a bit more like that. And then a lot of the people we work with, particularly because it's the Cambridge area, we work with a lot of academics. You know, we work with a lot of people who beaver away in the lab on some, what will one day be an amazing tech or science company. And this amazing innovation. And actually, I've discovered that people, they quite like a softer approach sometimes. And there's a way that I've, I suppose, developed myself of having a lighter touch, a softer touch, but without being a pushover as well, because you don't want to be a drip. You know, you don't want to be just kind of saying yes to everything. And, you know, so there's a way of behaving where you're using all your personal skills and you're forming bonds with people, but you're also confident enough to say, no, I don't think you should do it like this. I think you should do it like this. Or I know you've come to us, for example, wanting a Facebook page, but you're selling ophthalmic devices, and we don't think that's the right thing for you. You know, you need to be on LinkedIn a bit more. So it's about, you know, thinking of who you are as a leader and using your own strengths, you know, drawing on what you've got within and using that to your advantage, really, rather than trying to be like other people.
Do you know, they say, you know, in business, if you're setting up a business, then once you've gone past the 3-year point, then you know, there's a lot of people that don't survive that point. But I wonder, being an entrepreneur, running a business, or in even any new role when you get promoted into a leadership role, I wonder if it takes 3 years to actually really relax into what your role is, being comfortable by using your personality, because when anything's new, you tend to take on someone else's view of how that role should play. And that's the view you might have in the head, or someone you respect. It must take a period of time to actually realize that, one, you're good enough, and you know, your views, your perspective is really what people want. I wonder what you think, if it, you know, there is a time period and it's a natural time period, and if so, how long that would be.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And this is why sometimes businesses that grow too fast struggle a little bit. You know, they can't handle the, you know, there's suddenly so many clients or customers to deal with. And also the person running the company, it's almost like they don't know yet how they will respond to certain challenges. Whereas if you have slightly slower growth, then you realise, okay, this is the type of thing that's going to happen. That's how I responded. Maybe that wasn't right. You know, maybe next time I will do it like this. And so I think, yeah, there is a period where you gradually grow into it. I don't know if it's a set time period, though, in a way, because it can also be affected by things like, well, are you very young? You know, are you a 20-year-old entrepreneur? Are you someone that's come into it after having a family? And then, you know, I mean, like there's a company we work with called Abelard Aprons, and she took time out of the workplace and then set up this business. So she was coming into this from a completely different sort of stage in her life. And so I wonder if that also affects that point that you reach, you know, how soon you reach it, where you think, okay, this is what I do. This is my way of doing things. And even to realise that you should have your own way of doing things instead of just trying to emulate others. So, yeah, I think a little bit of time, but I wouldn't say I would suggest an actual time frame.
Okay, that's really interesting. And I also thought it was really interesting what you said about your 10th anniversary in the article, when you were really reflecting. And your reflection was that you're becoming more strategic and less, let's all get on social media, and more about, well, why are we doing this? What's going to be the best return? Why do you think this is necessary more than ever? that working on the strategy first? What is it in the environment that we're becoming more, it's important to become more and more that?
Yes. Well, I've been working in social media since it began, really. And so in the early days, it was very, oh, they're on Twitter, we should be on Twitter. Oh, they've got a Facebook page. Great, let's get a Facebook page. And with Facebook in particular, it was a bit of a gold rush. It's free, completely free. And I saw companies going onto Facebook, and it was, just this bonanza, amazing, particularly for, say, lifestyle clients or food or that sort of thing. And they found that, wow, they had all these people following them, and they could subtly sell to them and all that sort of thing. But then after a while, it became more and more cluttered, so it's harder to make your voice heard. And so whereas people went from being, oh, yeah, all right, I think we should do this because everybody else is, people began to think a little bit more strategically and, why are they doing it? So for us as a business, we also moved from people saying, can you manage our Twitter feed? And us going, yes, to being a little bit more hard-headed about saying to people, well, why? Why are you doing this? What is your actual business goal? And the sort of people we work with, they have really different goals. So some people, it's all about the SEO, getting on the first page of Google. Some people want more applicants. Some people want fewer applicants. It can really, really vary. And so anytime that we work with a business on a new social media, any sort of contract to do with social media, then that is the first question that we ask. And if people don't know, then it's really time to revisit whether they should be doing this. Not, I wouldn't say at all, but we really try and hammer it out with them. Well, why do you want to be on this? And the example I was giving earlier, why do you want to be on Facebook when your customers aren't there? And sometimes it hasn't occurred to anyone. They think, well, we want to be on Facebook because I'm on Facebook and I like Facebook. Or, some people think, oh, well, I hate Twitter, so I don't want my company to be on Twitter. And then it turns out that they're the perfect fit. So, we really, really work with clients to sit them down and say, well, why do you want to do this particular thing? And this is the way it's going. And now that we need, really, unless you put some social media advertising behind your content, then the chances of it being seen are just really low nowadays because it's just so crowded. You can't rely just on good content to get everything seen, unfortunately. Be nice if it was like that.
So are you saying now, unless you're putting some money behind it, it's pointless doing it or use different strategies?
Yeah, I wouldn't say pointless because people, they will always find the stuff. So say if you've got a website and they've come across you online, then they might want to look at your social media feeds as well to get a taste of your personality as a business. But particularly with startups, and we do a lot of work with startups, we're saying to people now that you can't just rely on growing just through organic content, unfortunately. So if you're a new business, you've got no community out there at all, then what we're saying to people is, and you don't have to spend a lot of money, but tell us who you're trying to target. We'll create some really quality posts for you, put a few quid behind that, and then it will reach the right amount of people. And it can be the difference of, say, 10 people seeing it organically to 10,000 for not a lot of money, actually. It can be quite, under £100. So it can be quite a reasonable approach. But then if you're much larger, you're an established business, you've already got lots and lots of followers, then it's a lot easier. But I think for anyone going into it fresh, anyone starting new, then it's just really difficult, unfortunately, to get your stuff seen otherwise.
Amid all of these challenges and change, it's a real fine line between adapting to the fast-moving industry and bending so much that you lose sight of who you are and why you started it. Why would someone hire you? And I think we, as business owners, we go through that all the time. We go full steam ahead, we get some success, and we're doing all this, and customers are asking us to do things, and we say yes. And we think, hang on a moment.
Yeah,
that's not what I thought it would be. And it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but actually, I think you do need to, take a step back. So how do you remain true and still be adaptive?
Yes, it's a challenge, because, and particularly in the early years, I didn't want to say no to things. So I've been made redundant. I had first of two babies at the time, who are now up here. And yeah, turning down work. It's like, what, I'm not doing this. But then at some point later, I realised, well, I do have to start turning things down. And as the business was taking shape, then it's difficult sometimes to know, well, is this the direction it's going in? So, for example, people would ask us to do PR, or is there a point where I have to kind of ring fence this and say, no, this is not us? And I think the point for me is when you get this little voice in your head saying, we can't really do that, can we? You know, or things that don't excite me. So in fact, we had a client yesterday asking us we came to talk to them about a communications project to help with all of their messaging and social media and ongoing content. And they're saying, oh, can you build a microsite to go with it as well? And we don't build the websites, and I can build a website, but you don't necessarily want me to. I just lose interest in it after a little while. I love starting off, but then there's so many little bits you've got to make sure get done, and you know. But again, I had that one voice in my head saying, brilliant, more work, and we can commission someone to do it, and then we'll have our markup. But then my other, the little voice of reason, which now takes over nowadays, saying, well, actually, if you take on this project, you'll be managing something that you don't enjoy managing. And you're adding an extra layer of, you know, they need to ask me stuff, I need to ask the web design people. You know, why not just be open and transparent and say, no, this isn't what we do. We'll find someone brilliant and partner with them, and then you can talk to them direct. So I think it's through experience, really. You know, when I've been trying to deliver on a project and it's something that I've said yes to, and I've known deep down it's not really what we want to be doing. It's just something I've learned over the years to try and say no. And I also have this little list of criteria as well when we decide to take on new work. So it's about sort of qualifying leads. I hate using all of this sort of sales funnel sort of type talk, but qualifying, but also disqualifying people and learning that, yeah, it's okay to say no if maybe you only want projects that have a baseline level of budget, or you only want to take on things in the UK, or, you know, it's all right to set those criteria for yourself. And then that's something that you can run through when you're having those conversations where you're thinking, oh, I don't really want to say no to this, but I've got a funny feeling in my stomach that it's not going to work out. You know, and in fact, on my list, one of the criteria is, am I getting alarm bells for some reason? You know, is there something I can't quite put my finger on? So it's like 5 things which I know is set. It has to be this, this, and this. And then the number 6 is, do I just feel wrong about this? You know, it's that gut instinct thing.
It's interesting what you say. I was talking to someone a couple of days ago about instinct, and people saying, I've just had a gut feeling about it. And you know, like gut feeling is actually quite logical, and it's your subconscious mind that can file things and retrieve things much quicker than your conscious mind that gets all clogged up. And actually it's based on evidence, it's based on positive experience, but it doesn't have the communication skills to give you the language. So it gives you the feeling, and it's actually all of these things in your subconscious. And if you're working at a 5% speed consciously, it's 95 times that. So it can process so much more. And that's why a physical feeling is a lot stronger than, you know, a logical one. So gut feelings are actually really logical in the process it goes through. So you really need to trust our gut a lot more.
Yes. Well, it was something that an editor, I used to be an editor on the Yahoo homepage, and my boss, there was just a picture choice that we were discussing, and I was saying, oh, I'm not sure, you know, should I go with this one or this one? And she said, well, trust your gut, you know, which one feels right? And even though we were talking about a bit of website content, it's something that I've always thought about, that anytime I have trusted my gut, I have been right. And it's not that I don't calculate the risk of whatever it is as well, but yeah, if you listen to it, you know, there's one project in particular that taught me that saying no is okay, where someone came to us with this crowdfunding campaign they wanted to run, and they wanted to get to 20 grand in 30 days. And the product, I thought, there's other stuff out there, and they didn't really have an existing community. And it really took a lot to walk away from this and to say no, because just that morning I'd been thinking, actually, we could do with a bit more work this month. But I did walk away, and then the next day the phone rang, and it was for this incredible project where I went to Dublin, I went to Ibiza, loads of stuff in London, and this big video project. It was fantastic. And if I'd have said yes to the first thing, that wouldn't have, cleared the time in the diary to do the second thing, which was really good, and right up our street. So saying no is okay. Saying no is okay.
But it's also it's not just clearing the time in your diary, it's clearing the time in your mind and not getting clogged up and bogged down with things that actually are not core to your business, that you don't really feel are not easy for you to do. And it's, I think as the longer you're in business, the more you get certainty as this is my thing and not that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I also remember in your Facebook Live Business Ambitions with Stephen Kelly talking about leadership, you talked about pausing in leadership. And I thought this is absolutely brilliant and wanted to share it. And you said, ask yourself the question, would I be happy with this decision in 3 months? And it allows you to pause. I still think it's fantastic that allowing you to focus and really filter out all of the noise and just make a decision. Would I be happy with this in 3 months' time? So why do you think it's really important to actually have strategies in order to get the clarity when you're kind of like full on in this busy world?
Yes, I think it just gives you that perspective. It helps you step back. It's almost, I wouldn't say like an out of body thing, but it's almost like you're there in 3 months' time looking back at yourself right now. Maybe I should, make this my big theory and write a book about it. But I like this, I don't know if you've come across this before, but when's the best time to plant a tree? I'm asking you questions now.
Oh, yeah, okay. When's the best time to plant a tree? Plant it when in a time when it's going to get water.
Okay. 20 years ago. Okay. And when's the second best time to plant a tree?
So the first time is 20 years ago. So you've got a big tree. Well, if you can keep planting trees, you do it every year. Yeah. So every year you've got a crop.
Second best time to plant a tree is today.
Right.
So, because I think we quite often beat ourselves up about not having done a thing. So we haven't lost weight, and we haven't learned to drive, and we haven't, I don't know, what else might we not have done? We haven't stopped drinking like we said we would, or whatever. We haven't quit smoking. However, I really like this because it makes me, it sort of clears away that guilt factor. And you think, well, I haven't done that. I didn't plant the tree 20 years ago, but I'm going to plant it now. And so I think maybe that has shaped my thinking with this pause element, that take a step back and think there's going to be outcomes. This decision I'm making now will have an outcome. And sometimes that outcome might be that I say yes to something because I want to say yes to new work. But then the outcome might be that the team's really fed up because it's work that they never wanted to do, but they perhaps didn't get a say in whether we got the contract or not. Or the person that I'm dealing with, I know that, okay, the contract's good, but they're going to be a complete pain to work with. And so that isn't going to impact.
How you do that up front.
Yeah. Finding that stuff out early is really good. And so it's one of those things where maybe for me, that's not going to be such a problem. But for the team that is actually delivering the work, well, 3 months' time, they're not going to thank me for that. So it helps me just get that external perspective. And think long term about things, but in a very simple sort of way. So just to stop and imagine how things might be in 3 months. It's just a really, really good exercise.
Yeah, my company is called The Problem Solver, and I often say to the people I work with, you're focusing on the problem. Let's spend more time on the solutions. And that's, like the planting the tree. Let's park that. We know about that. What we don't know is the thing. So let's think about that. And it's the Einstein, if he had a problem to solve, he would take, and he only had 1 minute, he would take, 59 seconds to, think of the solution. And only 1 minute on the problem, isn't it, really? Yeah. All right. Okay. So I remember you also talking about your family and setting up your business, and it made me think about a time where 2 days after my brother passed away, I had to deliver online WebEx to a global sales team of managers. They're all in so many different time zones, and I just knew it would just be so much hassle to reschedule it. So I did it. And I know what you said when you founded your business. This was literally the year you lost your dad. And 6 years later, you're running out of the office because the hospice called to say your mother was about to take her final breaths. Now, it's amazing. And I really understand the kind of the fog of bereavement, and really fog is a good description of it. But, you know, we just find a way and we just continue to go on. Do you think it's the character of the kind of entrepreneur, or do you think it's kind of, this is just what we do as humans, really? We just find a way and we continue?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I think a lot of us, we don't know what we're capable of overcoming, if you like, until we're actually tested, until we're challenged. And you know, sometimes there's people with many more problems than that, you know, so they haven't just got the bereavement, they've got lots of other things going on, and then they somehow get through it and get to the end and think, wow, you know, how do I get through that? So I don't know. I think it's a characteristic that maybe entrepreneurs have in droves, but I think we all have it as human beings as well. But I think as an entrepreneur, then it's a really, that sort of resilience and toughness is a really powerful part of you being good at what you do, because you're going to have to take a lot of knocks. You're going to have a lot of times when you think, oh, things aren't going so well, but looking ahead and thinking, okay, well, this is how we're going to get through it. Because the thing is, you know that it's going to affect people around you. So if you're walking around looking all kind of, you know, downcast because things are going so wrong, then that really has an impact on everybody else. And morale gets low, and you know, or people think, oh well, this, you know, the organisation's going under, and then they start to look elsewhere for work, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling thing, you know, because then people, like the good people, are leaving the company, and I've seen that happen, you know, in much bigger organisations where you get this sort of ripple effect, and actually a lot of it has come from the CEO looking so fed up all the time. Although, I mean, there's some people that we work with, and you go in and everyone's all kind of, they just all look really tired. And, you know, and I wonder if that is partly to do with people at the top not being resilient enough, and, you know, maybe not pushing on through the tough times. So, you know, if you haven't got it, you've got to find it from somewhere, because you're going to need it.
Have that team of people around you, you know. Yeah. I think you've always got to have someone that you can turn to that's going to either give you a kick up the arse or refocus you, or, you know, and it doesn't have to be in business, you know, it could be in your personal life, someone that believes in you more than you believe in yourself, almost, that you can turn to, because often we know we need a kick, we know we need that boost or the nurturing or whatever. Sometimes some people that I've met in our, and you'll know them, you'll think, oh gosh, their mother never gave them enough love. You know, and actually giving them, you know, a little bit of kindness and love and attention, it's in business, it works beautifully. It really does.
Yeah. And the thing I find as well is that sometimes people say things that really help you, and you've never asked for it. You know, it's just kind of come from nowhere, and they don't even know that they've said it as well. You know, I mean, like when I was going through this period in the run-up to my mum dying, and I was in the hospital all the time, always driving to and from the hospital, catching up on emails on my phone, all of that. Then a friend of mine who has also gone through losing two parents quite close together said that he remembers thinking at the time, well, at least this is never going to happen again. You know, I'm never going to lose a parent again, because I'm losing both now. And I don't know why I'm smiling when I'm saying this, but it was because it was so true, and it made me think, okay, it isn't going to get worse than this. I'm currently at this point, and I will be able to claw back from this, rather than thinking, oh, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. It was funny, because I must point it out to him how much that helped me, and he didn't even say it in a way that was deliberately trying to help. But I
do think there are a lot of people that like to give you advice, having never experienced it. And I actually think it's really the only people that have experienced it that truly know the depths of despair and the fog, and the fact that you can come back from it. And it's those words, it sounds weird to anyone else saying that. Well, you won't, you've done it now, it'll never happen again. And you think this is about death, this is about, something that's so raw. But actually, how can that help you? Because it helped them. They knew it helped them, so they're just passing it on. So I do like to talk to people that have had that experience, because you do pass a lot on. There's a lot of knowledge. Everything happens for a reason. And I think those things that happen to you are there to teach you, to make you a better person, to show you a way, to put you on a different track. And unfortunately, everyone is going to suffer, a tragic, horrible, deep-seated loss. So if that's the case, then we're all meant to almost graduate onto another level of understanding or forgiveness or depths of emotion or something. We're all meant to travel that journey. And the only way of doing that is for someone else to pass on. And there is so much knowledge that we gain about ourselves along with humanity and things. So it's almost like, it's a gift that you never really want, but you're going to get. But I think if you look at it like that, you've got to find a way to get through it. You've just got to find a way. And do you know what? To be quite honest with you, I can understand how people can decide, because even not a decision is a decision, that they're not going to get through it, because it's just so big and all-consuming. So anything anyone can give you to move you on is a real gift. So definitely go back to that person and let them know that
and one
it
of the
helped.
things I've learned from all this as well is, when people, you're trying so hard to write that little condolence card, and someone that has had some awful thing happen to them, and you think, I just can't find the right words to say. And what I've learned is that actually it doesn't matter what you say. The main thing is to say something, And so I sat there with all these cards coming in after I lost my mum. And it was like they all fluttered in like little butterflies or something. And, each one of those people, they probably thought, I don't know what to say to Sue about this. She must be really upset. I don't know what to say. But the fact that they said something, it all came together, and I got really cared for by so many people around me. And that's a really good lesson that I've learned from this. And so I never hold back from saying to people, if there's some sort of, taboo subject, something that's happened in their lives, and everyone's a bit kind of, oh God, I better not bring this up, I don't know what to say to them. I just say something now, and I say, I'm really sorry that you lost whatever, I'm really sorry this happened to you. And I don't try and say, well, in my experience, this and this, it's just expressing that you're really sorry about it. And now that I've been doing this over the last few years, a number of people have said, wow, you're the first person that's actually found the courage to talk about it to me. And I've gone way off all the sort of business stuff here, but
we're people, so it's important, and it's just another one of those major challenges, like so many things in life. So I think it's important to talk about it, really. So no, I appreciate that. Right, okay, we're going to have, because I know we're going to have to go. Quick fire questions, okay? So, what's the one thing you've not done yet?
Again, not very businessy, but I've always wanted to write music. So
write music, right, I look forward to seeing that. Okay, what are you most passionate about, and why?
Passionate about? I think it's about communication, actually. I like helping others communicate. I like trying to communicate a bit better. I like helping people express themselves better.
Well, it's a good thing you're in that role then, isn't it? Communication. It'd be difficult if you said silence.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone shut up.
Okay, if you're on a desert island on your own, what's the one thing you would take with you?
I'm a vegan, so hummus.
Hummus.
Not that.
Well, you need to make the chickpeas, don't you, really?
Oh, yeah, okay. So chickpeas and some tahini, maybe a bit of veggies. I don't know, a bit of chopped parsley or something. That'd be nice.
One thing.
Okay, so
Sue, it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you. I really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
taking the time. You're a marvel, a wonder.